Hi everyone, so today's video is something a bit different. It's a video I'm excited to be finally doing, but also nervous to be finally doing. As you can tell from the title, I'm doing like an anxiety Q&A, talking to you guys about my experience with anxiety. I've just come to realise that my favourite influencers are the people that are kind of the most candid and talk about their struggles and things that they go through. I just think it makes everyone so much more relatable, because it can be so easy to detach a person that you watch online from any kind of like emotional struggle or, I don't know, any hardship, because you only kind of see the high points of their lives. It's like my vlogs. I have the most incredible day-to-day life and I'm such a happy person, don't get me wrong, but all of those vlogs do make it look like it's just plain sailing, and it certainly isn't. I have filmed videos like this in the past, not really to this extent, but I have touched on this and I've mentioned it again briefly over on my Instagram. But there are a couple of topics that are really close to my heart that I kind of want to start being a bit more open with you guys about, because I feel like I always kind of hide that part of me from my online platform, because I do want it to be a positive space, and that's fine, and it's great that I kind of keep all of my social media such a positive place, but at the same time it's just, I don't know, I just feel like I'm keeping such big things from you guys, or not keeping them, but I'm not sharing like intimate details that do occupy so much of my life. I would hate for this to trigger anyone. I'm here to talk about my experience and answer any questions that you guys wanted to know, and if any of them are kind of like general anxiety tips, please take them with a pinch of salt. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm talking from experience and not from an academic standpoint, so please do not quote me on anything. Yeah, if you feel like you're gonna get triggered at any point, that is so not worth it. Please click off this video. I would hate for this video to have that kind of impact on anyone. I have so many questions from you guys to answer, but I thought I would kind of just kick off by explaining my kind of history with anxiety and panic disorder. Around the time I started my YouTube channel, about a year into my YouTube channel, I was ill, and that is something I'm not going to talk about in this video, but I was missing a lot of school, and in missing so much school I became like such a little recluse, and I'm one of those people, I don't really know which way round it is, but like all of my like close friends here always say like I'm an extroverted introvert. I think that's the way around it is. It's like when I'm around people, I'm really extroverted and loud and I can fill any silence. I could talk for bloody England, but getting me to leave the house and be in that social situation is like a big deal. Like, I don't do it often. I used to be so much better in that kind of realm. Yeah, when I was about 12 or 13, I was ill and I missed a lot of school, and I kind of became like that. When I was at school, I would kind of be fine and I'd be chatting with all my friends, but I would have like panic attacks at the thought of going into school. I was seeing the doctor for other like physical illnesses, and as kind of time went on, being more like secluded from all of my school friends and my like kind of normal day-to-day life really took a toll on my mental health, and I became really depressed and I developed panic disorder. Like I said, I would just have anxiety attacks all the time about the thought of going into school. I'm really lucky in the sense of my mum is like my rock, and she's been there this whole time, and she's always helped me deal with it. So when I was going through that period, I could kind of cope because I had my mum there, and she was kind of relatively new to all of this like anxiety stuff and like learning about it. So both of us were kind of learning as we went through, and she was just there to kind of hold my hand through it all. So that really helped and made it very bearable, and as time went on, triggers got better and I wasn't really having that many panic attacks. I certainly still had big ones, but it was more of like a, when I had one, it was a big built up panic attack that had kind of been brewing for a long time, whereas before I just had really like absolute meltdowns on a daily basis. I laugh about it because I'm just one of those people that finds it easier to kind of laugh stuff off, so please don't take that as me being, I don't know, like really flippant about this subject, because it certainly isn't, but I feel like that's just the easiest way that I sometimes gravitate towards when I talk about things like this. So yeah, as I got older, I kind of got a grip on my anxiety and I knew what worked for me, what didn't work for me. I'll get into that later in the video. And I was kind of solid with, I knew I struggled with anxiety and panic disorder, but I could control it, and I could not necessarily control it in the moment, but I knew when something was coming and I knew to get myself out of a situation instead of being trapped in one and then just having a meltdown. So I got better in that sense, and I learned more about it, and I learned what worked for me. And then obviously in September I moved away from home, and I am just the sort of person that if I'm not given an excuse to leave my house every day, I won't do it. My bedroom, I love decorating rooms. I loved moving here and making my room feel so cozy and decorating it, and I spent so long like on Pinterest and planning out what I was going to do with my room, because my room to me is always just like a safe haven. Wherever I go, I just need like a little like place of like solace. As much as I made that here, I moved away from my obviously home bedroom, which had become like my absolute, to me that bedroom at home is like the safest place in the world, and I certainly now feel like that more here, but I definitely didn't at first. But moving away completely shook everything up, and having been in lockdown and with the whole pandemic going on, and I hadn't really had any social interaction for months. I had a couple of different interactions over summer, but not really that many outside of just my like 3 or 4 best friends. And so moving away and being around completely new people in a completely new place that didn't feel like home yet was really hard for me, and it definitely took a toll on my anxiety, and it became probably the worst it's ever been in my life, even when I was younger. And I think that is down to the fact that I don't have my mum here, and I've got to put my hands up and give it to Freya. She does a fantastic job at filling in for my mum. She's like my rock here. But yeah, it certainly worsened. Just moving away from home was not fun for me. It looked it online. I looked like I was having the best time, but my first 2 weeks here, I was miserable, hated it. I cried every single day. I would just sit on FaceTime to my family. Freya would come round and cook and eat with me and just be there while I cried. I was a mess, and it also just made me so much more anxious on a constant, like I'm just constantly, I feel like I kind of am to an extent still on just a constant level of anxiousness while I'm here. I'm just super hypersensitive to like my like triggers and things like that. So that has been really hard for me to deal with, but I've slowly but surely built myself back to a place where I'm kind of not as consumed by it as I certainly was in the first like 2 months of being here, and I'm a lot more settled. And like I said, I'm still kind of hypersensitive to things going on around me and triggers, but not to the point I was when I first moved. And like I said, I have grown and learned a lot about how I can help myself in those situations. So I do feel like I have certainly still remained good at knowing when to remove myself from somewhere where I feel uncomfortable, or being able to kind of, sorry, my candle's turned off. Yeah, and kind of being able to like nip in the bud those kind of feelings and pull myself out of a panic attack sooner than I maybe once was able to. So that has been my kind of timeline of dealing with it. Like I said, crippling anxiety has kind of retaken over my life in the past year with everything going on in the world, which I'm sure it has for so many people. And that is so reasonable to have these feelings during this time when everything is so uncertain. I'm not necessarily like a really controlling person, but I need to feel in control of my own life. The pandemic has made me feel like I've lost that control over my own life, and I feel like there's so many people that feel that way. So just know, if you're watching this and you feel the same, I am here for you. My DMs are always open. And I just want to say that to anyone before I get into answering your guys' questions. There was such a lovely outpour when I asked for these questions on my Instagram. So many of you have DM'd me asking for tips, saying your struggles, and it just absolutely warms my heart that you kind of trust me to let me into that part of your life. And yeah, I just want you guys to know, if you ever want to drop me a message on Instagram, I always read my DMs and I will always respond to you on there. But yeah, let's get into some of these questions. Firstly, someone asked, what is your advice for calming down from an anxiety or panic attack? When I have a panic attack, I just become completely breathless, and that scares me, and so I start kind of gasping for air even though I'm not necessarily out of breath, and so I'll start kind of hyperventilating, and in doing that you make yourself really dizzy. I always get so disoriented and dizzy when I'm in the middle of an anxiety attack or a panic attack. So the one thing I need to do is just, if I'm in a room of people, I need to take myself away and I just need to be still, and I need to sit on my own, and I need to refocus my eyes and see where I am, see my feet on the floor, know that I'm safe, and then once I've done that, I can start like breathing in and out and regaining my breath. So many of my friends, especially in Liverpool, have asked, like, if you're in a panic attack, what should I do? Like, do you want me to leave you? Do you want me to be around? I don't mind. I'm happy to be alone and deal with it on my own because I can't talk that well, but I love having someone there to distract me, because I find that if someone takes my mind off of it, then I can't be in here panicking and thinking about all of these things if I've got someone in my face being like, oh my god, let's watch this. It's like I had a massive panic attack in a lesson earlier this year. ZARA came out. I was like, let's watch Harry Potter, and started playing Harry Potter on her phone. And so if I'm kind of distracted, I find that having someone there to distract me is really helpful once I've begun calming myself down. Granted, if I'm like literally feel like I'm dying, then that is the last thing I want. But once I've kind of realised, okay, you're okay, calm down, having someone there to distract me really snaps me out of it super quick. Rescue Remedy, I'm probably going to talk about 100 times in this video. It's not sponsored. I love it. I have the spray and the pastels, and I find the spray the most effective thing in the world. If you've not tried Rescue Remedy and you've got anxiety, I would really recommend. They've got a range of stuff, so you can choose what you kind of feel most comfortable with. Like I said, the spray for me works incredibly. Kind of connected to that, have you learned how to deal with a panic attack when you can feel it coming along? So yeah, I normally head straight for my Rescue Remedy. I don't even give myself time. I don't try and calm myself down. It's so soothing to me to have that. It makes me feel so much better. It makes the most unbelievable difference. Please, I really recommend trying it. Yeah, like I said, if I feel my chest starting to tighten, my breath starting to get really shallow, I just head straight for my Rescue Remedy, and that normally within like 5 or 10 minutes has really calmed me down. I struggle myself but can't open up to my parents. How did you go about it? I didn't really open up to my parents. It was more a case of I just had the most overwhelming panic attack in front of my mum, and she kind of helped me through it, and I was like, what just happened to me? Like, what was that? And she said, I think you just had a panic attack. And we went to the doctors, and we spoke to the doctors about it, and they explained anxiety and panic disorder, and came to the realization that that's what I had been dealing with for a while. So yeah, I didn't really open up. I was kind of thrust into the situation where I just couldn't control it, and I had the most like debilitating panic attack probably ever. How did you deal with anxiety when auditioning for drama school? I did not deal with it well. You're coming to the wrong person. Before my first audition, which was for Mountview, I was having breakfast in the hotel with my mum, and I had about 3 mouthfuls of Rice Krispies, and then I was sat at the table crying my eyes out, saying I'm gonna throw up, oh my god, I'm gonna be sick. I felt like I was literally dying. I was like, I cannot go to this audition, and my mum just snapped me out of it. She was like, shut up. Not like in that way, but she was like, listen, it's one day and you've got to do this to be where you want to be. Like, this is a stepping stone to be where you want to be. And I kind of had the mindset of, if I don't do these auditions, like, how can I ever expect to be in this industry? How do you ever expect to go into such a competitive audition-based industry if you literally can't do one day of drama school auditions? Don't get me wrong, I really struggled. I had the rescue remedy in my coat pocket throughout all of my auditions, and I did have moments where I had to spray it. Once I did my monologues for Mount View, I left the room and I went to the toilet and I had to splash my face with water, just have a quiet moment to myself once I'd done my performance, because I just felt like a wreck. And yeah, I would just say, if you are in the audition and it's really overwhelming, just take a moment, just breathe, remove yourself from the room if you can, and just know that everything is going to be okay, and this is like kind of a stepping stone forward. How did you find out you had it, and did you see someone about it? Like I said, I found out I had it when I just had an awful panic attack with my mum, and she took me to the doctors to kind of talk to them about it, and they told me it was anxiety panic disorder, and I'd been having it like recurring. That wasn't like a standalone incident. After a while of it not improving, and just my general mental state, not even anxiety wise, just being in awful shape, like I said, I really struggled with my mental health around that time period. I did start going to therapy, and I did it for about 2 months, maybe 3. I did not find it very helpful, but not because of the concept of therapy. I think therapy is an incredible way to kind of pinpoint your emotions and feelings and have someone kind of guide you through it. But I just didn't connect with my therapist, and I didn't find her sessions that beneficial. So after, yeah, like I said, 2 months or so, I stopped and I didn't go back, and I kind of just learned to deal with it on my own with the support of my mum and going to a GP. How does anxiety affect you on a daily basis? This is something that, again, is quite new, because I did feel like I had such a good grip on it for such a long period of time, and since coming here, I've just become very codependent since my anxiety's worsened. Yesterday I went to return a parcel. The whole way there and the whole way back, my heart was just pounding. I had the biggest lump in my throat the whole way, and I just thought, like, it really irritates me, because I have always been quite an independent person. Like, I've never been super reliant on other people. I'm a real homebody, don't get me wrong, but like, at home I'm quite happy to kind of fend for myself, and I don't need to be surrounded by people 24/7. I really enjoy my own company, actually. So I've always enjoyed at home going into town on my own, because obviously I can drive, I've got my car at home, driving around, going into town, so happy to do that. And since moving away, it's kind of just overwhelming to me to do that, and walking 5 minutes down the road to the shop and back just to return a parcel has become something that I spent about 3 days putting it off, going on my own, and the whole way there and back I just wanted to cry. And I feel like that is just the best way to kind of sum up how it affects me on a daily basis. It's just any time I'm going about something that brings me the slightest bit of anxiety, I will be like in public and I just want to, like, I want to burst into floods of tears. And all I can think about doing is getting home, and that's the only thing that drives me forward, is just get into the comfort of your own home, and then you're safe. So I would say it affects me of just, ever since moving away, I've become a lot less social. I don't really go out as much, which obviously I can't anyway at the minute, but I don't have any like inclination to go and see people, which is so awful when friends try and make plans with you. But it makes me, the thought of not being in my house every day like makes me like feel sick and makes me want to cry, and that's so, it feels so pathetic to say, because it's something like, this is like one of my best friends, and I know I'm gonna have a fab time if I went and saw them right now, but the thought of actually going and seeing them is hard. That's how it affects me on a daily basis. How to deal with not being able to sleep. I have always been, like, I've never had problems sleeping before. I'm literally, my head hits the pillow and I'm knocked out. And since moving to Liverpool, that has really changed. I have found Calm, the app Calm, again, this isn't a sponsorship or anything, really useful. I love the Disney Peaceful Piano playlist. I listen to it every night without fail. I've never ever fallen asleep here without it for me, I just can't. I need it on. It's really comforting to me. So I would say just playing soft, peaceful music, because for me, it gives me a different sound to focus on other than the noise going on outside. And I can just tune in to the music that's playing, and it makes me feel calm, and I just drift off to sleep really, really easily with that playing. Whereas if it's not playing, all I can hear is like the street noise or cars going past, and I'm just like awake all night. There were a lot of questions asking if I've ever had panic attacks in public around others. The answer is yes, quite simply. Obviously I've been a full-time student my whole life, so inevitably I have been in classrooms, in rehearsals. It's just been so overwhelming for me. I always try and get myself out of that situation as quickly as possible. I think I'm gonna leave it there because I feel like this was a really rambly video. I hope this was of some use or help. Again, take everything I said with a pinch of salt. This was just speaking from my personal experience. Thank you guys for being so warm and supportive on my Instagram. I love you all so much. If you enjoyed this video, please smash a huge thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. But other than that, I have nothing else to say, but I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye!